Today, we're going to react to TimTheTatman's reaction of the Liberty Falls cinematic trailer and explain to him what the hell is going on, because for a new Zombies fan, it's kind of hard to piece together all the different stuff that's happening. And as he says at the start of his video here,
because as someone that isn't super
not
big
a super
into
big
zombies,
fan,
I'm trying to understand it, and I need your help.
Yeah, he needs a helping hand. He needs someone to sort of light the way for him. So we're going to do exactly that. So let me move my camera here so that I'm not on top of Tim. Also, he mutes the copyrighted music at the start of this. So just for the first like 30 seconds, the trailer's going to have no audio, but it does kick in after that. So don't worry about that.
Just imagine, how would I describe this?
I'll help Tim out.
Older style music, just we'll meet again. That's hang on. We'll meet again.
But like I know we'll meet again, and
it's like that kind of peppy music right now. Like everyone's having a great time.
And Tim doesn't even know it's Richtofen. Okay, so Tim, the first thing you need to know, my friend, is that the man on the left here is quite possibly the most important character in all of Call of Duty Zombies history. And we're still talking about the copyrighted music.
We're hanging out, sitting by the tree, eating a cherry, kids playing in the backyard. Like, that's the vibe, okay? And then when the audio starts cutting in, that happy music is going away. So I hope you...
Yeah, okay, so yeah. This is Edward Richtofen. Edward Richtofen started out in Zombies being this crazy dude, this crazy German in Shino Numa, all the way back in 2009. And so many years later, he has gone through some twists and turns in an old universe, right? An old universe, which people call the Aether story. And then he got spat out of the Aether story as a child, and he entered this current universe, and then obviously grew up and got into the position he's in today, which we'll see more about in just a moment. And he's one of the only remaining elements, the only remaining fragments of that old story. And we're now in the Dark Aether story. Okay, let's keep it rolling.
You guys understand?
Yes.
So
I hope you understand as well.
You see, that's the very end of it right there. See?
This bit's so good.
Fire! Run!
What's happening?
What is happening?
For God's sakes!
Oh my God.
So what Tim may also find interesting here is that that family that he has is actually one of the first things that we ever saw related to this new version of Richtofen, because they used that shot of his family, or they used a shot of his family way back in Cold War Zombies. And in Cold War, basically what happened there is he was in Cold War as a figure that was pulling strings behind the scenes, but we didn't see him. And then at the very end of Cold War Zombies, you see Richtofen and you're like, oh my God, it's him. It's real. He's this guy called the Director. That's crazy. And he has a family now, which he never had in the older games.
Bro, these zombies are actually going to be like a horror game, bro. I can feel it, dude.
There you go. There's a shot of him and his family. It's a different shot.
So Liberty well, I'll pause. I'm gonna watch this.
We'll get there, Tim. Don't you worry. We'll get there.
Dimensional breach in progress.
Sub-level 10, report.
Something's wrong with Sam. Dimensional breaches are occurring across the facility.
So, there being something wrong with Sam is also something that you might have questions about, Tim. So, Sam is Samantha Maxis, who is probably the second most important character in all of Call of Duty Zombies. Arguably, she's actually number one, and Richtofen's number two. They're kind of almost tied for top spot, but Samantha played a huge part in the story of Cold War as well, which is the new Dark Aether story. That's where it began, Cold War Zombies. And in Cold War, Samantha basically got banished to the Dark Aether, which is this sort of almost alternate universe, you can think of it as, like a completely separate place, which is full of these big scary monsters, and there's loads of zombies there as well, and it's horrible. But she kind of got banished there, seemingly, with these gods, old gods, elder gods. Like, it's kind of got its own eldritch kind of universal rules and stuff like that. You don't need to worry about that too much, but suffice to say, Samantha is meant to no longer be just walking around happy as a chappy on planet Earth. And so the fact that there's something wrong with Samantha is interesting for two reasons. Number one, Samantha shouldn't be here right now. So why are we saying there's something wrong with her as if she's here, like as if we're tracking her? Do they have a way to figure out where she is in this dark ether place that is not Earth? And then secondly, there's an entire other team Weaver is one of them, who you'll know from the Black Ops 1 campaign. There's this woman called Gray. There's this old scientist dude called Strauss, etc. And they were actually trying to save Samantha, and their story kind of ends in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. But in Modern Warfare 3, we learn that they actually failed. So the fact that we're talking about Sam here and something going wrong with Sam is interesting, because this takes place between her being banished to the Dark Aether and them having failed later on. So we're like, wait a second, how is it that she's back in the story in this way? Let's keep going.
Is bro just sleeping with the waffle? What is the name of that? The Waffle Wonder right next.
So he's confused about this, but I thought that was what all Americans did. Like, isn't that your, I don't know, Third Amendment or something? You have a gun next to your bed at all times? I thought that was the American way.
Waffle Lust? What's the name of that zombie place? Did
he call it Waffle Lust? Now, as MrRoflWaffles, let's go easy on the waffle lust here. What the? Huh? Okay, let's keep moving.
I'm not even a zombie guy, and I know what that gun is.
That's cool that he recognizes it. That goes to show how important it is to have iconic wonder weapons and just iconic stuff in general. I feel like Zombies over the years kind of lost a little bit of its iconic imagery, and the Wunderwaffe is something that really penetrated broader culture way back in Dariz, way back in Shinonuma, like back then in World at War, and clearly it persists to this day, right? Clearly it's really made a mark. Not a lot of other things have. So this sort of goes to show, just as Tim being a temperature gauge here, that the WAF resonates with more of a sort of normie audience almost, which is awesome, because that means that that's something that Treyarch can leverage to market the game even more effectively. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, he literally has
that. Blanchard, secure the command post. Call in response teams. Get Liberty Falls locked down. Copy?
Copy.
That gun is so iconic, dude.
Yeah, man. That's the word. It's truly iconic.
Bro, baby cooks here.
So good. Something I love about that, just to jump in real quick, is he hits a zombie in the head with the bolt that he pulls back to reload the weapon. Like, it's so sick. The way they animated it is just incredible.
Wow.
The sound design.
I swear to you, Sam, you'll never be free!
So he said, what is that? Right? That's a question that is a little harder to answer. We could say that what it is some kind of dark ether energy. We could say that it's almost the arm of a dark ether entity. Maybe it's the arm of Samantha herself reaching out from the dark ether and having some kind of physical manifestation in this world. There's lots of ways to interpret the way that smoke works, and we've seen similar kinds of stuff happening in the Modern Warfare 3 Zombies story. We're still kind of learning the rules of how this type of magic, if you will, behaves. So it's a little harder to answer that question, but I'm sure he'll have more questions here in a minute, so we can get into it.
Dude, what?
Yes. He looks so confused.
I already am.
Does he know who that is? Tim? Tim, are you good?
Okay.
Tim, are you there?
So, for me personally, like, this zombies lore is so confusing because
I got you. I'm
trying to understand it. I want you all to know that. I
can help you with this.
Like,
I can.
And like I said, I did play the Cold War zombies.
Okay.
But I am so confused. I understand that this was a dream, right? He was in a dream. This was weird. This was scary.
Yeah.
But then this guy, oh my God, it's terrifying. This guy wakes up, okay? And then he's out of his bed. What happens right here? Am I missing something?
Wait, what is it that he's confused about?
That's obviously his family. He's in Liberty Falls.
Yes.
Warning. Dimensional breach in progress.
What? What's in progress?
Dimensional breach.
Dimensional breach?
Yes.
Sublevel 10, report.
Something's wrong with Sam.
Okay, so maybe he's a little confused about the fact that also it's worth noting Richtofen is the director of this organization called Project Janus. Okay. What Janus does, it's sort of broad implications for what it does. That's a whole sort of question unto itself. But one of their sort of more easily defined jobs that they do is they've built this facility at Liberty Falls. Okay, so obviously map Liberty Falls, they've built a load of stuff in Liberty Falls. Liberty Falls is not constructed entirely by Project Janus. It's a town that already existed in the world, but Janus moves in, and according to intel that we learned about in Cold War Zombies, they build like a tunnel network underneath Liberty Falls, which is why he's going down an elevator in this video, and then he gets down there and there's this ball underneath. That's presumably what was trapped inside this underground tunnel network, right? That's also the reason that he's got all these TV screens in his room where he's sleeping. That also makes sense for why he's got the Wunderwaffe there as well, is because you might have an outbreak in such a location. Now, the ball itself, he seemed totally lost on the ball. I don't know, as much as Tim has played the Cold War Zombies maps, I don't know if he's finished the Forsaken Easter egg. And I think if he did, and who knows, like, maybe I can run it through on stream with him or something sometime, but the Forsaken Easter egg ends with this big ball, right? This massive ball, this container, this containment mechanism being used to trap this big, bad, scary entity called the Forsaken, right? And Samantha's there, and Samantha goes through the portal, and it's this whole emotional moment, but then the ball is taken somewhere. We don't know where, but it makes sense that they would take the ball to Liberty Falls, where they're building this underground tunnel network, and they're doing all of this stuff. There's also supposedly a wall that is built in Liberty Falls. Maybe the wall is some kind of containment procedure to ensure that alongside the ball itself, there's sufficient stuff around it to make sure that nothing ever gets out. But I think that's maybe why he's a little bit confused, because Tim doesn't realize that Richtofen is in charge of all this stuff. I mean, he doesn't even realize it's Richtofen, I don't think. And to be fair, Richtofen does look a bit different here, so I don't blame him for not instantly recognizing him by any means. Let's see what his next questions are.
Dimensional breaches are occurring across the facility.
So here's another thing I'm confused about.
Yeah. What's up?
This is all in the facility too, okay? But like, this, bro, are there gonna be like things that pull us through walls in the next zombies?
Are there things gonna be pulling us through walls? So I don't know if Tim's played the older zombies, but it's kind of crazy he says that, because if he's only played Cold War, let's just assume he's only played Cold War. In Cold War, there are hardly any rebuildable barriers. Like, the idea of rebuildable barriers might actually be a new concept to this man. I don't know. Because if you only play Cold War, you wouldn't have seen Nachron Toten rebuild all the barriers until round 5. Like, you would never have experienced that. So that could be a new concept to him. Now, I'm not actually saying that that's what's happening here. The like pulling through walls thing, I'm assuming that's the kind of vibe that he's referring to. I'm not saying that there's gonna be a bunch of rebuildable barriers in the map. I don't think there will be. But the idea of zombies like reaching through walls and trying to grab you and stuff, that at least is nothing new.
Graphically, by the way, obviously this is cinematic, but it looks sick, man.
Yeah, it does look, it's like, graphically it looks amazing.
But like this right here, what the hell is this thing, bro?
It's a fair question. Now, one thing that is worth pointing out is that if you look at the way it manifests in the room, it basically is drawn in. It goes from the bottom, and when I first watched this, I was like, oh, we can see the elevator cables behind Richtofen. That's kind of weird. Like, why can we see the elevator cables? Because I could see these two lines forming as he went down. What it actually is, though, I think, is that we're seeing a doorway being constructed behind him. You'll see it as I play it here.
But like this right here, what the hell is this thing, bro?
Yeah, so we're seeing two lines being drawn, and then it closes off at the top.
Bro? Like,
there you go. You saw it go across, and when it goes across at the top, it's then that something reaches through and grabs him. So it's literally a portal being created, being drawn in real time.
I swear to you, Sam, you'll never be free!
and then it's this giant ball thing.
Yep.
But Edward, I already am.
So one thing he doesn't seem to recognize is that is Samantha Maxis' voice. So short TLDR on Samantha Maxis. Samantha Maxis entered the zombie storyline way back in the Aether story. Okay? Origins of the zombie story, Samantha's involved. Okay? Aether story. All of the stuff happened up to Black Ops 4, right? Which is where the Aether story ended. And then Richtofen, like I said before, Richtofen got spat out of that, and he entered this Dark Aether story, this universe, Cold War Zombies, and he entered that universe as a little boy. And with him came Samantha as a little girl. And so little Samantha grew up in this universe as well, right? She is also a product of that previous universe. Interestingly, she doesn't seem to know it. That's an interesting little kind of quirk to her character, but this is her voice. And so adult Samantha Maxis, who we see in Cold War Zombies, she's in a bunch of the cutscenes. You'll recognize her because she's also got a bunch of operator skins as well. So if you see someone running around in Cold War with like a bride outfit, that's Samantha. And Samantha's the one that goes to the Dark Aether. She gets banished there at the end of that game as well. So hearing her voice here is crazy because it's like, hold on, she's not in the Dark Aether. She seems like she's in the containment ball, which is wrong because she's not meant to be in the containment ball. The Forsaken's meant to be in the containment ball, and Sam's meant to be in the Dark Aether somewhere. The fact that he also said that he swore to Sam that she would never be free, that in itself is an interesting quote, because we don't know when he said that to Sam, first of all, but second of all, he's clearly going to check on Sam or to deal with Sam himself. But then why is he going to the containment ball? That should be a completely separate entity. So there's valid questions to be asking here. Let's see what he's about to say. He looks like he's winding up a question.
I need the captions, bro. Did the robot say Adler?
But Edward.
Edward.
Enhance.
But Edward.
That sounds like Adler to me. No? Is there a...
Okay, it's Edward. It's not Edward. She's saying it because she has a German accent. So she's saying Edward. And that's why he's getting confused. Adler versus Edward.
Captions? Captions unavailable. Gosh dang it, bro.
I got you. Don't worry.
I'm trying to understand what's going on. Is that Adler when he's younger? No way, right?
No.
I'm doing my research. Adler.
What is he going to find? I'm so curious.
I don't think it's Adler.
Correct.
That's not Adler.
Thank
Is
God.
it? No.
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 No. Good.
No.
No.
Unless he got kind of jacked up. No way, right? So here's, okay. We know this. Here's what we know. Okay.
Yep.
Liberty Falls. This is a new cinematic. It just dropped today.
Yep.
Okay. We know that Liberty Falls is the other map. So I uploaded an entire gameplay.
So did I.
Where I saw, gosh, what was the name of that first map? Whips.
Terminus.
Do you remember? Whips. I'm going to remember.
Terminus Island.
I'll do this myself. I'm going to go to my channel. I'm going to look myself. Good morning. Good evening.
Okay.
I'm going to look myself up. I'm going to go here.
I would do the same thing. Yeah.
I reacted that a little while ago, huh? Holy frick.
MrRoflWaffles, 18 minutes of Black Ops 6 Zombies gameplay. That's the video you want. Yep. Yeah, my video. Perfect.
We didn't put in the description what it was, bro. Terminus, that's it. Okay.
There you go. You got that.
So Terminus was the first one. Liberty Falls got like a little sneak peek at the end of the original cinematic that was released. And so now this is our first look kind of at what Liberty Falls is going to be, which I'm assuming is kind of this, which like I said, if just for DMAC purposes, so we don't get DMAC'd here, it's like that song in the background, yes, DMAC. But it seems like this really, you know what the vibe of Liberty Falls I am getting is?
What?
Call me crazy. This reminds me of Stranger Things, bro. Am I tripping?
Honestly, he's not tripping. The small town amongst a big kind of forest vibe, alongside the river, the American values of it all, like I don't think he's tripping at all. Also, if you look at what they did with the Cold War Zombies story, there is so much in there that feels like Stranger Things, and vice versa. There is so much in Stranger Things that feels like COD Zombies story. Like, there's actually a crazy amount of overlap, and just like Black Ops story in general. Like, they really feel like they feed off of each other. The way the sky looks in Stranger Things, like, okay, Tim, this is actually a perfect analogy. Think of the Dark Aether as the Upside Down. That's what it's called, right? Think of it that way. Think of it as this other place that can look, hypothetically, like where Vecna goes in Stranger Things, right? You know when he's like sort of spread out like this, and he's got all those like red spires around him? It almost looks like this like alien version of like Mars or something like that. The Dark Aether can look like that. It looked like that in Vanguard Zombies. Or it alternatively can look like other stuff entirely. It could look like the Upside Down, where it's just like black and it's just like wet on the floor. Like, the Dark Aether has lots of different manifestations, but it's quite a good analog to think about. And there are a lot of analogs between Stranger Things and Zombies, so like, it's actually good that he's thinking about it this way.
Maybe not as intense as Stranger Things. Well, like, it's like a robot. It's like a robot, right? Like here's where the song, that's the end of that song.
Yep.
It's very Fallout-esque, by the way.
What he also may not know is that in the ending of the Forsaken Easter egg, the end cutscene has that song playing. So this is basically a closing of the loop where Cold War Zombies ends with that song. This game begins with that song, more or less. Yeah. That's Richtofen. He's staring Richtofen in the face and he doesn't know it.
This is so creepy, by the way. I don't want to see it again. It's scary. I'm gonna watch it. It's terrifying, dude. But so what I'm assuming that's the area around us, right? But Liberty Falls, I'm assuming, is this place that they're at, which is obviously something to do with zombies, obviously. Yes. But they were creating something and they lost control of what they were creating. That's what this whole like storyline seems like to me.
So yeah, I would look at it that way. I would just think about it a little bit less as specifically creating, and I would think about it a little bit more in terms of dealing with something that already exists. So in the Dark Aether story, a lot of what we've talked about is these dimensional breaches, right? Which pop up. They popped up in Morasko, Poland, and that's D Machine, the first map of Cold War. Dimensional breaches are very much the bread and butter of why outbreaks happen. And through these dimensional breaches, stuff from the Dark Aether either marches through if it's a band of zombies, or it climbs through if it's a bigger beastie like the Order or something like that, right? And when you have one of these dimensional breaches, you then have government organizations and these research teams and stuff, and also these foreign private military corporations that interact with those breaches in their own way. They either try and control the breaches, or they try and profit from the breaches, profit from the technology that can be created by understanding the breaches, stuff like that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Janus is just there to build something of their own, but it's a little bit more that they are seeing this thing happening in the world, and they are a direct reaction and response to it. In fact, Richtofen's entire existence in the world is also one of those things that he's alien, technically. Like, he's not supposed to be there, and who knows, maybe that's why we're getting the breaches in the first place. Maybe he's kind of causing some problems with space-time. But yeah, I would maybe look at it a little bit more that way, perhaps.
And this whole concept reminds me of Stranger Things. Yeah. Like this giant kind of thing that's spoilers, by the way. That's kind of like controlling. And it's got a personality.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. And what did he say to the robot? Like, he knew what who the robot was. Hang on.
I swear to you, Sam!
I'm assuming the name.
You'll never be free!
You'll never be free. And then the robot goes, but I already am. Okay.
But Edward, I already am.
So, just in general, obviously, I've been reacting to a ton of this BO6 stuff, the campaign reveals, any cinematic that drops, I try to check out. I can't remember the last time I was watching as many just zombies alone, right? I'm very invested in the next zombie reveal, and I'm very curious to see just how like the game's gonna play out and what it's gonna be like. Whip says he says, "I swear to you, son, you'll never be free." That's his kid, bro.
Not son.
Was that his kid?
No, dog.
And then at the end, it's, "But Edward, I already am." Wait, so that guy's name's Edward?
Yes.
Not Adler.
No. No!
So his name's Ed?
No!
Also, can you guys do me a favor? I need zombie experts on this video. So if you know a zombie expert, share with them. Can you guys... Can you piece some stuff together for me that I'm missing? Because I feel like you got to keep a... Listen, man, you know, I'm coming in raw. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the full zombies lore. I don't know what I'm looking at, right?
I got you.
But that seems very... There seems to be... I feel like there's a connection with Liberty Falls with other stuff that was in the past with zombies.
A connection is like... That's so funny. Like, it is not like just a connection, it is the connection. Like, it is quite literally so glued in amongst so much other stuff, so I can understand why the guy's confused. But hopefully I've gone a little ways to helping kind of correct the record here and explaining some of this stuff. If you guys have any zombies friends that don't know what the hell's going on, maybe this video will be useful for them. And Tim, my recommendation... play Forsaken and do the Easter egg. It'll kind of bring you up to speed on a little bit of this stuff. So I've been MrRoflWaffles. If this video has been useful, then you guys, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. That would be amazing. And I'll see you guys very soon.